What's up? We got Arrow, Season 5, Episode 10, Who Are You? So, to note, this is after, I'm not doing this, this review comes comes after the episodes I'm going to review, but I'm going to review this episode because of one reason. Is because I was too hyped not to review this. I know I'm doing it out of order, but my hypeness for the ending of the last episode and the beginning of this episode, how could I not review this? So this episode starts off with Oliver being approached by Laurel, and he's like, I thought we saw you die last season, remember? And she's like, yeah, the legend, there was white light, and he was like, no, there wasn't no white light. We all saw you die. And she's like, yeah, but about that, Sarah kind of brought her back. And he's like, no. And yeah, we saw you die. And she's like, you saw me die, but she hadn't had a chance to bring her back yet. And then Felicity shows up, and we see Felicity and Laurel hug. And then Felicity basically explained that she brought her back because she didn't want a time aberration. But I'm just like, excuse me, what if Sarah, called him and said, hey, I'm bringing Laurel back? Or wouldn't have been protective of the timeline? So we see, so Oliver's like, yeah, Deagle's in jail, I gotta go see that, because in the last episode where Lila called him, but now Deagle's thinking Prometheus pre-recorded Lila's voice to get him to get arrested, so yeah, so then we see Laurel calling Thea, saying about how I'm sorry, you don't have to come all the way back for your conference. So they're like, yeah, before Barry's, yeah, so he's like, as I was saying last time, before Barry kind of stole his toe, I'm glad this is dark times bringing us together. Welcome back, Laurel. And Laurel starts to drink. But this is where Felicity starts to be suspicious, saying, wasn't Laurel an alcoholic? So then we see Felicity basically Laurel's prince and basically revealing that so we can rule out shapeshifter. And he's like, what about evil twin? And she's like, yeah, Laurel does really have an evil twin. She's not gonna throw out. I'll explain later. But then we see a sonic scream blow up, and then we see Laurel's revealed to be her Earth 2 version, Black Siren, which is really cool. And she's like, I'm glad someone figured it out. It's tired of being weak, vulnerable Laurel. Ugh, she's a pill. It's pathetic. And then Rory tries to attack, but Black Siren sonic screams him out of the way. And then she's like, one problem with her ability. She cannot hear her poor little victim scream. But then Oliver dashes in there, and he's like, Laurel. And then she knocks him out of the way and just disappears. Yeah. Laurel's just gone out of the way. So then he's like, that's not our Laurel. Yeah, you didn't guess, you couldn't figure that out. Well, Oliver, you're really dumb because you couldn't figure that out. You couldn't figure that out, that's not your Laurel. So then we see Prometheus, and he's like, what's up? And she's like, you should have let me kill them instead of playing some role-playing idea. And then he tried to strangle Black Siren by saying, by saying, I think your freedom isn't I'm following my orders. Do you understand? And she's like, yeah. So yeah, so he's like, hey, Adrian, will you help me? Will you go speak to Diggle? And he's like, yeah. So then he gets a call from Black Siren. She's like, Oliver, it's me, Laurel. And he's like, don't you say her name, but excuse me, Oliver. It's not kind of her name. Her name is Diana Laurel Lance too, you know. And he's like, don't you say her name. And she's like, Prometheus is just using me. Prometheus is just using me. And he's like, and so she's like, so they're like, so he's like, guys, if Black Siren is evil, if Black Siren betrays you, if you will, don't engage on my words. Then Felicity creates a separate channel for Chris and Renee, and basically like, yeah, if you guys don't, if she hurts you, and she probably will, you have free reign to light her up. And she's like, oh yeah, Oliver. And she put down the phone, but then Felicity's like, but thinks there's a weapon, and she orders them to attack, but then she sonic screams them and destroys the Black Canary statue. Bye statue. Can't they just rebuild it? I have no idea. And yeah, can't they just rebuild that statue? Can't they just rebuild the statue? So yeah, so he's basically like, yeah, so Black Siren gets away and he's like, yeah, Felicity, what the crap? And she's like, this is called Arrow, not Felicity. This is my show, not yours. You have no right to, you have no right. And she's like, Black Siren is evil. And he's like, now we have her locked up. And he's like, I know you want revenge for Billy, but we don't, but she may not be our Laurel, but maybe she can be. It's basically revealed that Prometheus broke Black Siren at Star Labs without tripping any alarms at all. He was able to just get in and then get out, and then on the feed he was able to get in. So yeah, so then Oliver's like, hey, and it's like, hey, Star Labs have told us that you're able to get in, that Star Labs told us that you'll do anything Prometheus says, no matter what he says. And he's like, that's what they believe. And he's like, yeah, and that's what they believe, totally. And then we see Star. So yeah. So yeah. So then we see Diggle, and he meets Adrian Chase until his evil army general shows up saying, yo, Diggle, it's time for you to go. It's time for you to be transferred. And Adrian Chase is like, yeah, that's not happening. And he's like, yeah, if you just talk to a guy, he'll tell you. So he basically makes Diggle, Diggle punches, he basically says something to Diggle, which makes, yeah, so he makes Diggle punch him to get into his, to get Diggle into his authority. So then he can be like, yeah, Diggle, you're going home. See your wife and son. Even though it's weird that, yeah, they know that it's his daughter now, even though his son used to be his daughter, it's still a little bit confusing it's still confusing how the Flash science works on the Flash, and about how science works on Arrow. It's super confusing. I can never understand science. No one can. And so it's funny that Black Siren used to work for Zoom, and she basically traded out Zoom after Zoom's defeat. She basically traded out Zoom for Prometheus. She transferred a speedster for an archer. It's like, what do you want, the Flash or Green Arrow? It's like, you pick the Flash, but then you choose Green Arrow. Yeah. So then we see her, yeah, so then we see her, and she's, So then we see her, and it's a funny joke that Curtis makes and Renee about, Renee's like, Laurel's from an alternate and everything. He's like, no, Laurel's from an alternate world. And he's like, no, she's from an Earth. And he's like, we're from Earth 1, she's from Earth 2. And he's like, what if, he's like, what are their Earth 1 counterparts look like? Hope he's not straight. That was a good joke. Because Curtis is gay, his Earth 2 counterpart might be straight. That was a good joke. So anyway, back to the actual scene, prior from that earlier scene. So some guys come in and he's like, this is a strict area. What are you doing? And she's like, waiting for a friend. Then someone screams them in the face, making them show blood on their face. How did blood show up their face from one canary scream? One canary from one sonic scream. That doesn't make any sense. So he's like, hold up, Trinity, basically a Matrix reference, saying that Black Siren, and she's like, oh, I thought you'd be someone else. Disappointing. And Sonic screams him as well. Sonic screams Wild Dog. So then Prometheus shows up, and she's like, ooh, Felicity, I'm sorry, I might have to kill you. Yeah, we love this Felicity. I'd rather kill Season 4 Felicity. Season 4 Felicity was garbage. This Felicity, Season 5 Felicity, is protected. We protect Season 5 Felicity. So, Season 5 Felicity is protected. You can go back and kill Season 4 Felicity. She was the worst. So he's like, Then Sonic screams her, but then Prometheus wants her fighting, and he's like, hey, catch me or save Felicity. So he decides to save Felicity, and he's like, Black Siren, don't do this. If you kill Felicity, you'll never come back from that. And maybe we can look for the good in you. And she's like, and we look for the good person you were inside yourself before you lost your family. And she's like, she was never there. And Sonic screams him, but then Curtis power damns her and says, yeah, you better shut your mouth. And then she's like, hey, Pumpkin, and poof, knocks her out. So they're basically like, hey, you did this for Billy, and that's great. So then they're looking at Black Canary's statue, and they're like saying, Laurel wanted me to find a Black Canary. Laurel wanted me to find a Black Siren tarnishes Laurel. We can't let Black Siren tarnish Laurel's legacy. That means we have to find a new Black Canary. So then we go in Hub City, where we see biker gang. We see a biker gang like picking on a defenseless woman, and then we see this random woman show up, and he's like, wow, I thought you guys existed in the movies. Trying to show your manhood, like picking on a defenseless woman. And he's like, what can you do? And then she smiles, and then we see her canary cry them out the window, saying that. And that's how we end the episode. So, does this episode live up to the hype from the last episode? Obviously, it does. Because the one thing that breaks this episode love for me is Black Siren. Black Siren is great. Kate Cassie is great. She's obviously a bitch, but she's the best bitch that I've ever seen in there. Because, I would never say bitch on this channel. But I keep saying it because, I love Black Siren. I love this episode. I know I'm doing it out of order, so it won't go in. I'm doing it out of order, but yeah. That was it for this video, and I'll see you next time for more Black Siren. I mean, Arrow. See you guys. See you next time. Boom. Yeah, you can call me Black Siren. Laurel, what are you doing here? Black Siren's here to take over the channel. We gotta stop her, guys. See you next time for more Arrow. Boom. Arrow. Boom.